Alright, let's see this next
Another
match.
Australian player, that is the question here.
Well, it's always awkward trying to call them out just in case
Is that
I'm
who
wrong.
I think it is?
I don't know who you think it is.
It's Ondrej.
I think it might be Ondrej.
Skubal.
And that's kind of nice, going from, you know, second place at Worlds to the world champion. That's
Oh yes,
nice.
absolutely. This is a absolutely stacked match. Man, we have just been so lucky with these matches today, Ross. Oh my goodness.
But that's one of the interesting things about an international that is so far away from home. Is just... Oh, it's Isaiah Williams against Ondrej Skubal. There we go. Just looking at the prizes there, we did not a huge amount. 1 Lugia V-Star, 1 Archeops. Nothing there which is going to... 2 escape rope, nothing terrible. But one of the things which is kind of interesting here
Is he
that
playing
a lot
Ray
of players
Lost
who
Box?
make this journey are players that have travel stipends, or they are that gosh darn good that they think they've got a real chance of winning. So it might be a
Both
smaller
3-0.
attendance than some of the internationals, but I'd hazard that the average player traveling is probably a little bit more confident in their deck choice. But we are off, and it looks like Ondrej is starting off with a Lugia.
Yep, we are, and I mean, it looks like a lost box as well. So here we go, starting off on this Lugia here, Ondrej. Oh, this is going to be an exciting game for sure. At least getting off to a little bit of a good start here. Ultra Ball being able to discard at least 1 Archeops. You know, for the Lugia turn, you always just want to see as consistent of a turn 1 as possible. You want to get those Arceus into the discard pile, line up your bench as much as possible, but it is going to be a boss's orders. Discarded to that Ultra Ball as the second card choice. I'm sure a difficult decision. Didn't see what else was in the hand for Ondrej. Oh, and then getting out that Archeops to quick ball it right back out. So that's already great start, Ross, here. 2 Archeops that are going to be hitting the discard pile. 2 Lugia down. And I didn't even get a glance at the hand yet.
I mean, this is basically everything you're looking for. If you're playing the Lugia, really all you want turn 1 is a Lugia V, a second if you're worried about it getting KO'd, or for some matchups you want to have that second Lugia V, and you want 2 Archeops in the discard pile ready to bring back with that summoning star. That's what you're looking for. That's all you're talking about. So
I can't fit
to have that
Dunsparce
turn
into my
1,
list.
Ondrej couldn't
I don't know
really
why. It just
have
doesn't
done
fit.
much more here.
Yeah, it's going pretty swell so far. I assume we're going to see a lot of Lugias in the near future, but I'm interested to see how Ondrej's list tends to differ here. But this is a pretty solid turn 1, just a manual attach of that V-Guard energy and passing over to Isaiah Williams here on our opponent's side. So let's see how this turn 1 plays out for Isaiah. Oh, it's going to start out pretty nice, starting with that Battle VIP pass, so able to search out 2 basic Pokemon and just slap them right down onto your bench. Of course, we are going to be seeing the Lost Zone engine, as we notice by that Sableye being in the active position here. So we're probably going to be seeing some Comfeys come out of that deck.
Yeah, it's interesting
Go,
to note
his
you can
list
only
looks
play it
good.
on your first turn. Whether you go first or second is fine, but it's only your first turn play.
Yep.
And it's one of those cards, when it first came out, it was a promo in Japan, and people were like, oh yeah, you know, nice little
Oh, his
item
list
card.
looks
And then
good.
people
I'm trying
actually
to see
started
his
testing with
list.
Battle VIP Pass and realizing that actually it just makes it so much faster and so much more consistent. And it really has become an engine for so many decks. You know, you're not going to play it in a Lugia because you need things like Ultra Ball and Quick Ball to discard those Archeops as well as setting up. But in decks like Lost Box, it is absolutely vital. And now it's just how many flowers can we pick? We're going to use that flower
Yes.
picking on the Comfey there and just hopefully get a few cards in the Lost Zone, because that is when this deck really starts taking off.
Absolutely, we're already grinding through the deck here, so that Radiant Greninja going to discard that Psychic Energy for the Concealed Cards ability as well, and we'll just see how many cards can potentially hit the Lost Zone, at least in this turn. There is already a Scoop Up Net here that's going to be used on the Sableye to get one of those Comfey into the active and start going through with these flower selecting. So, on paper, Ross, I know there's a lot of Lugia believers, and there's a lot of, another Battle VIP pass, that's always nice, and a lot of Lost Box believers in the crowd, I'm sure. It's the top 2 decks that are being played at this event. What are we going to be seeing as this matchup goes on?
I mean, we're going to be seeing a lot of different things. We're going to be seeing Isaiah trying to get cards in the Lost Zone so we can attack for free with Cramorant. And so
I'm curious as to what attackers Isaiah's playing in deck. That's where it's really going to get spicy.
So Isaiah's got a whole bunch of different Isaiah's attackers. I mean, Isaiah's It was the usual kind of thing. There is a Zero Aura there, which will be it's specifically in there as a counter to Lugia.
There we go.
And then you've got your Dragonite V, which can just hit 250, which of course with a choice bout goes up to 280, which is that key number to KO a Lugia V-Star as well. So Isaiah's going to be trying to use cards like that to go and get the KO on Ondrej's Lugias. But Ondrej's got a lot of single prize attackers as well, and this is a matchup where you want to be using things like that, potentially taking a double KO with Raikou,
Dang, you put that
except the
far
mana
over
V's down.
there.
Obviously, the
So I
mana
want
V's
that
down,
this year.
and just using things like Radiant Charizard, which are a little bit more difficult to KO, but still only give up one prize. So there's a lot of back and forth. This is not, you know, if we look at the last few tournaments, this is favoured for Lugia, probably, but there's different ways to build both of these decks. You've got to give the edge to Lugia overall, but it depends on the different decks, the different techs, and really, you know, how the decks start.
Yeah.
And certainly this turn one, Isaiah's been doing a lot of stuff turn one.
Yeah, this is our second flower selecting, so 2 cards in the Lost Zone. As of now, we are going to see a manual attachment here onto that Radiant Greninja for turn as well, and I don't think I see any more pivot options, so it's just going to be a pass back over to Ondrej. So here we go, 2 Lugias down here, but yes, exactly, like you said, Ross, the Lugia almost converts into single prize attackers when it's going against single prize attackers, because you do not want to get behind in the prize race. So I'm interested to see what the strategy here is from Ondrej in this match. But let's check out the hand first. There's a powerful color, there's a quick ball, and I believe that's a
Gonna grab
Marnie
fish.
as well.
Yeah, which is pretty much going to have to be played, because Ondrej really
There's
doesn't
not
have
much cards
else.
here, yes.
So
Absolutely.
And it's important to Isaiah wasn't able to go and get the Chorus's Experiment. That's what he really wanted last turn. That would have put 4 cards into the Lost Zone, which would have then opened up
That
110
Cramorant.
damage from Cramorant, which would have been amazing. So that was a little bit of a whiff from Isaiah, and that's opened it up for Ondrej here, because now Ondrej's on turn 2, got the Lugia, can go and get the V-Star.
Yep.
Obviously, that's a priority.
There's already 2 Archeops.
And then
discard.
Exactly. And then we start attacking. And then Ondrej takes the first prize.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, even if you're not attacking with the single prizers, as long as you're leading in the prize race, which is really what you want to see, you're winning
Oh, he
at
drew
the
into
game,
the
you know?
mana fee
So
too?
yeah, just as soon as you get attacking, you're going to be in a good position, especially seeing there's only 2 cards in the Lost Zone so far for Isaiah. So, ooh, here we go on Ondrej's side. I think that Marnie actually... I didn't see exactly what it was, but I mean, anything's better than the hands that was only 2 cards. Ooh, Stoutland V is going to come down. Also, a very, very pivotal card in this matchup.
Oh, we see 2 powerful colorless energy coming down, and we got another Archeops. Of course, Stoutland does 40 damage base, but if you KO a basic Pokemon with Stoutland, you get to take an extra prize. 40 damage isn't much, but we've got 2 powerful colorless energy, which is 80 damage now, which means that that will get a 1-hit KO on that Comfey, but as a 2-prize Pokemon. And here's the thing.
Huge.
Oh, and then double turbo just as a little bit of a pivot there. So Ondrej is going to take the first 2 prizes off a Comfey. And does Isaiah have a response to this? And the answer is, it's going to be awkward. It's possible, but it's going to be awkward.
Yeah, absolutely. Not 1,
Dang,
but
that was
2
quick.
prize cards being down now. So definitely puts Isaiah in a back spot position that they now have to kind of catch up from.
Alright, let's see
We're
what we
going to
got.
start off with that Hisuian Heavy Ball there, going into the prize cards, getting out a basic Pokemon that they find in there, and then replacing it with a Heavy Ball, or if there's none in there, it just discards. But yeah, I love that. The powerful, colorful energy. I feel like a lot of people don't really utilize it, or not utilizing it, but a lot of people
Powerful,
underestimate
colorful
where
energy.
we're going to see
Come
that
on,
place.
girl,
I mean,
get
we
it
saw it on
together.
Archeops in the last match we saw.
Yep.
Now we're seeing it on that Stoutland, because that Stoutland can get beefy as far as damage goes.
And the only answer Isaiah really has to it is Dragonite V. But in order to get Dragonite V, you need to use Mirage Gate. And in order to use Mirage Gate, you need to have 7 cards in the Lost Zone.
Yep.
Isaiah's only got 3. And the problem is,
Just
if
pop the
Isaiah
Corvus.
doesn't get a KO on the Dragonite this turn, you know Ondrej's going to try and use Stoutland again next turn. So now we're going to be going up to, I think, 5 cards in the Lost Zone. There's 3 in there at the moment.
Yeah,
So-
2 are about to hit that off the Colress. Lots of energy in that, and another Colress as well in that Colress's Experiment. So this is kind of a difficult decision is what it's looking like.
Well, we need 2 more flower selecting, and we need a Mirage Gate, and we need a Dragonite. And I don't think that's very likely, incidentally.
Yeah.
But that's how Isaiah gets a response on the Stoutland this turn. He's not playing a fighting-type Pokemon that's going to hit for weakness, so that's kind of it. And if you don't take out the Stoutland this turn, Ondrej's going to take 4 prizes with 1 Stoutland, and at that stage, this becomes a fairly quick game, potentially.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Once prize cards start getting taken, especially double prize cards off the Stoutland, things can escalate very, very quickly. So we are going to see this concealed cards, drawing another 2 cards here for Isaiah.
Yeah, and that's fine, but we're not there yet. Is the problem? We need to.
Oh, I do see the Dragonite in hand. Oranguru is also coming down here as well, so can utilize Primate Wisdom this turn potentially too.
Yeah, there is a scoop up net in hand, so that's at least one pivoting option there for Isaiah.
We need some lost zones here.
There's
that Primate Wisdom. So card from the hand going to the top of the deck, and the top card of your deck going to your hand. Switcheroo.
But we actually need another Comfy right now, because there's only actually 1 Comfy on the board. And if you scoop up net, you can reuse the same one, but you still really need 1 to pivot in.
Yeah, and that's rough too, having to scoop up net 1 that has an air balloon on it, because that air balloon would discard, so that is definitely rough. But we're just going to see the air balloon retreat into that Radiant Greninja,
who doesn't even have enough energy to attack right now. It's only got 2, so Isaiah's giving up. This is a really slow start from Isaiah, and with the start Ondrej's had, this is going to be pretty bad. Of course, the Radiant Greninja is out of range of the Stoutland right now, but all it's going to take is some kind of gusting option. If Ondrej is able to find Boss's Orders or something along those lines, that is going to be absolutely huge. Does play free in his deck, so it's possible to have it there. There are 2 Luminion in Ondrej's deck, which will have to go and find it. So it shouldn't be that hard to find. And I'm a very aggressive player by nature, not a control player. I like going full aggression when I'm playing.
You're a Lugia player then, Ross.
Yeah, I could do about Lugia. I like to go a little bit weirder.
Oh, it's sad to say, yeah, maybe some weird attackers in there.
But if we can find a gusting option here, taking out, which we're incidentally the only Comfy on the board, Isaiah's still only got 5 cards in the Lost Zone. Mirage Gate is not on board. Sableye dropping 12 damage counters is not on board. The stuff Isaiah really wants to do is not on board.
Yeah.
If Ondrej can take out the last Comfy while going 4 prizes up, that is going to be huge.
Oh, here we go. That double turbo energy being applied onto that Stoutland V that's in the active, and we still have another Archeops ability to search out even more energy from the deck here.
So it seems like we might just be seeing an attack for 200, KO into Greninja and taking 1 prize. It's fine. Or you could just see, that energy could be used to retreat and pivot into a Lugia or something like that.
I mean, as long as we're taking knocks, I feel like Ondrej's in a pretty good position here, because taking out that Radiant Greninja too also limits Isaiah's ability to draw into more cards. So just not allowing them to really recover from this point of view either.
And I like this. This is a really good play from Ondrej. Like, I want him to go for the treble Stoutland KO.
Here we go.
What this does, we've got the KO, but it's not just the KO. It's a KO of a V-Guard energy.
Yeah.
And I said earlier that a Dragonite with a Choice Belt will KO a Lugia, and that is true. Unless Lugia has V-Guard energy, Isaiah can't really KO this Lugia at this stage. I would like to see a Dunsparce down to protect against Zera Aura. But even Zera Aura only does 220 with weakness, which would be 280 with a Choice Belt, which still wouldn't get the KO with that V-Guard energy in play.
All right, so there we go. We saw the knockout there from Ondrej. So going down another prize card, and we're going to have to see some recovery. But as I was mentioning before, the Radiant Greninja is gone, so even less draw here on Isaiah's side, and we're going in with a flower selecting here. The choice is a Choice Belt. I believe it was an air balloon as well.
Yeah, air balloon's always nice. Use pivot option. It looks like Isaiah's scooping up his cards. Ondrej does take game 1, and I'm going to be honest with you, I can completely understand that.
Yeah.
Ondrej was in so much control, and with Isaiah having no option to KO that Lugia V-Star and being down by 3 prizes, this is one of those, you know what, let's go to game 2 situations.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mentioned this before. Our players here are going to definitely know when to scoop it up and go to a game 2, because they know what they're doing. They've navigated these matchups for plenty, hours and hours of play testing for this event. So we're just going to go into a game 2, and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting one, Ross. Hopefully we will see a little bit more of the cards fall into Isaiah Williams' favor here, hopefully. So we get some entertaining watches here, because I believe in Lost Box. I want to see Lost Box succeed.
Me too.
I mean, when Lost Box first came around, right, I picked up one of the Japanese lists, and I went and played it on PTCGO, and I played like 20 games, and I went like 20-0.
Yeah.
It was back in the early days when it was just pure speed. That's all it really did. It was a pure speed deck it wasn't playing the amazing rare Pokemon or any of that at that stage. It was just a pure kind of speed fancy deck. And it's just amazing. The problem is, as we see, Ondrej was able to set up that Lugia V-Star with V-Guard Energy, and Isaiah doesn't have an answer.
Yeah.
Ondrej's able to set up that early Stoutland, and unless Isaiah's got that Dragonite ready to go, he doesn't have an answer. Isaiah's deck is very dependent on getting really 7 to 10 cards in the Lost Zone really early.
Well,
and sure, Ondrej's deck, sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
Is really dependent on getting the Archeops and the V-Star,
Yeah.
but we see that fire more often.
Well, what we've seen from these Lost Box, well, we saw this just in Orlando, was a sort of turbo build, and I'm wondering if that's actually how Isaiah's deck is sort of built around, is the more turbo version of the Lost Box list, because, I mean, we saw that deck see success as far as just KOing a Lugia, like, it was turn 1. So if that happens, that would be pretty wild to see. But of course, you have to have the cards to be able to do that. Like you said, Ross, getting those Lost Zone cards into the Lost Zone as quickly as possible. But we are going to start over here on Isaiah Williams' side of the board with a Battle VIP pass. Radiant Greninja coming back.
I mean, we saw it used to great effect in last game, so that is not surprising. Ondrej starts with that amazing rare Raikou, which on the one hand is a great card because it can take a double KO, 120 to the active, 120 to the bench, but also Isaiah's going to put a Manaphy down, and also it's got 120 HP, so it's a really good Sableye target. So amazing rare Raikou is great as a surprise if your opponent doesn't have Manaphy. It's not a great option to start with. It's got a retreat cost of 2. It's not what Ondrej wanted, unfortunately.
No, definitely not what you want to see early on, but still, there's definitely room for improvement here, depending on what's in hand, at least for Ondrej. But as far as Isaiah's side of the field, we are going to be seeing some flower selectings right here going into these top 2 cards, choosing one. Oh, it's the Dragonite and the Scoop Up Net.
You've got to take Dragonite.
Yeah, and the Scoop Up Net's already been discarded too, so if we lose another Scoop Up Net, that's definitely something to take note of. Resources are so important with this deck. I mean, luckily for a deck like this, you're playing lots of pivot options.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the thinking, because you do not want to get rid of a Scoop Up Net when you've already discarded one. But you're only playing one Dragonite.
Yeah, exactly.
You
yeah.
have to take the
one
Dragonite.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. All right, so we are going to see the Oranguru come down, as well as a Zero Aura, too, on the bench. So I think we saw the Primate Wisdom there from Isaiah as well. So switching the top card here. Ondrej taking a beat to read that Zero Aura that is on the bench there from Isaiah's side.
And the interesting thing is, that Zero Aura, it's not great against the V-Star, especially with V-Guard Energy, but it is actually really good against the V. So Ondrej might have to prioritize getting a Dunsparce out here, because otherwise could be in a little bit of trouble. Like, if Ondrej ends a turn with one Lugia, no Dunsparce, and he's not going to, but if he does, and Isaiah hits a boss's orders, then all of a sudden that puts Ondrej in a very, very awkward position. So you could go second Lugia and hope there's no boss's orders, or you could go Dunsparce. Either way, it's an awkward situation, but let's be clear, that Zero Aura is played purely as a counter for this and to a lesser extent Palkia.
Yeah, it's looking dangerous on the field there. Of course, it does 80 additional damage if you're attacking into a V, which would be 110 with weakness. 220, which, like you said, is perfect for a Lugia V. So definitely scary here. Ondrej's hands, though.
V-Star
I am curious about this. We see a Luminion in there, but it's just going to be another Marnie, just like we saw in the last game. So Marnie this entire hand to the bottom of the deck. Ondrej is going to draw 5 cards, and Isaiah is going to get 4.
Yeah, and it is worth noting with that Zero Aura, it hits perfect numbers on the V. But with a choice bout, it does then hit perfect numbers on the V-Star. It goes up to 280, which is why the V-Guard energy becomes so important. We do see the Evolution Incense coming out here. It's turn 1, so you've got to imagine this is going to be for an Archeops, try and get that into the discard pile. And you see the difference here. Going second for Ondrej, it's kind of awkward.
Well, especially when you start the Raikou as well, that is definitely not what you want to see. But what you do want to see is an Ultra Ball, at least discarding those Archeops. Get that out of the way and hopefully salvage the rest of this game in board state pretty much. But yeah, I mean, there's only 5 cards drawn for Ondrej off that Marnie, so Ondrej's really going to have to make those 5 cards work this turn. And I mean, an Ultra Ball discarding 2 Archeops is a great way to start getting out that Lugia V-Star as well.
If he escape ropes,
yeah, that's always a nice option.
Out.
Of course, you do play Luminion if you're Ondrej, so that is... You don't really want to telegraph that you're grabbing a Luminion to use the next turn.
True.
But that is an emergency play. Like, if you're desperate for something, we see a Lugia V coming down, and then, oh, yeah, and it's awkward, because you know an energy in a boss's orders, and you are losing one of those Lugia.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just going to be a pass over back to Isaiah Williams, so... Let's check out what happens here on this turn. Draw for turn, of course.
Colress.
And what is the hand looking like? I see a Colress here in Isaiah's hand.
Which you don't really want to play because you want to play boss's orders. So the Colress coming down here is actually a wonderful thing for Ondrej because it basically says,
he plays escape
although
rope.
actually having said that, escape rope now becomes a really nice option. Because that would, actually only plays 2. So in game 1, both escape rope were prized. Not the case here. So an escape rope would be a very, very nice option. I'm lying, there's 4. There's 4 escape rope in the deck.
Wow, that is consistency for sure. We're seeing 3 cards now in the Lost Zone here for Isaiah Williams as well. Colress has been played, utilized to its fullest. And then we're going to see a Captor Energy come down onto that Comfey, which means Cramorant here is coming out onto the field as well. Of course, Cramorant does need 4 cards into the Lost Zone.
Yeah, and I do need to make a quick correction here. I mentioned a minute ago, V-Guard Energy reducing damage from Zero Aura. Obviously it doesn't. It's literally called
it blocks
V-Guard Energy. The clue is in the name. Sorry about that one. That was a bit of a silly. I'm going to own that one. Yeah, the clue is really in the name for that one. So that does actually make Zero Aura a very, very good option against something like
Protects
a Lugia.
bees from bees.
Also, it's a reason why the Dunsparce hitting the board would be a very, very good option there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it does seem like there's a little bit of a discussion being had here, but it seems like it's all sorted out now.
I think Isaiah's just deciding what to Primate Wisdom right now off the Oranguru. So we're just choosing what card to go to the top of the deck to draw into another card from the deck. So... all right, here we go. That flower selecting is going to secure that 4th card into the Lost Zone here for Isaiah Williams. So, and of course, the Captor Energy is already on that Comfey as well, allowing it to pivot out of the active position too. So we are going to see, wow, we could see a couple different things here, but that Cramorant is definitely online now for Isaiah.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's really the first mark when you're going for these Lost Box decks. The first milestone is 4 cards in the Lost Zone because that's when your Cramorant comes in.
Even better, there's a switch card, so that Comfey actually still has that energy pivot for the future of the game. So Cramorant, we're gonna see some spitting here, Ross. That Cramorant spitting.
We are indeed. We see the KO there on the Raikou. Raikou goes down. And then, yeah, taking a nice early prize. It's a nice way to start.
This is more of like a control list.
All right, let's see if Ondrej can recover from this position now. Of course, we do have that Archeops, both of those Archeops in the discard pile. So Summoning Star is going to draw them out of the discard pile onto the field. And we're going to just jump straight into our Primal Turbos to attach those energies onto our Lugia on the board. So... I love what Ondrej plays because it always looks like it's like the worst day of his life, honestly. He's always just contemplating every single move, thinking so hard, and it shows so well. But I mean, Ondrej is such a skilled player, so I don't blame him, honestly. I love how much expression there is there. All right, so it's going to be a V-Guard Energy and a Capture Energy being put onto that active Lugia V-Star. Of course, we do still have another Primal Turbo, so going straight back into the deck for another 2 energy double turbo, and just choosing one more. And we're good to go.
Absolutely. Now, Ondrej does play the Dunsparce. Now, I don't believe it's prized. I could be mistaken about that. But it's something I would want to see coming down at some point, just because that Zero Aura is sitting on the bench. Now, it doesn't have a lightning energy, just water. But with a lightning energy, that gives Isaiah a really nice option to get a KO on a 2-prize Pokemon with with just a single prize Pokemon, and that's going to be really good for turning the prize trade. And Zero Auras, he can be KO'd with Stoutland, but it's not the easiest way to go, so yeah.
All right, well, here we go. We did see that Professor's Research come down, so that's a fresh 7 cards on Ondre's side here. There is a Quick Ball in hand to be able to discard a card and go back into the deck and draw out a Pokemon. So what is it going to be, Ross? And it's going to be that cute little Dunsparce, just as you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
right in time. I mean, it's being debated still, but I mean, that's such a great choice.
I mean, the debate here basically is the chances of Isaiah having the Lightning Energy and bringing it active.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's not just the Lightning Energy. Mirage Gate is going to be on board quite possibly next turn, which lets you search it out from the deck, which makes it even easier to find. And it's one of those awkward situations where you don't really want to get it, but because that V-Guard Energy won't protect you from Zero Aura, then you do need the Dunsparce, because and you know, Zero Aura needs a choice bout as well, so it's not a given, and that's why there's a discussion. The Zero Aura needs the energy and the choice bout. It might not happen, but it's really bad if it does.
Yep, so there we go. The Dunsparce is now in play with that Mysterious Nest ability, allowing all colorless Pokemon to have no weakness there, which is always a plus. And then we're just going to see the knockout there from the Lugia V-Star on Isaiah Williams. Cramorant, it's going down, and that's going to be a prize card there for Ondrej.
Yeah, tying it up at 1 each. It was just still early doors here. You know, game 1, Ondrej really just jumped ahead in a way that Isaiah could not keep up with. Game 2, both players are having a bit more of a setup. We're not seeing one player just run away with 1 or 2 Pokemon. We are seeing both players essentially get what they want here. And if I'm Isaiah, I'm in a bit of an awkward situation because my Zero Aura, which I kind of telegraphed early game, but I had it and I wanted to get it down, that's not so good with a Dunsparce out. So I kind of want Dragonite, but the problem is Dragonite can be responded to by something like Lugia. Yeah. So I'm worried a bit about that.
And you're eyeing down the Stoutland V that is already in play on Ondre's side as well. That is always a threat on board. Taking those as additional prize cards is scary. But we are going to see that Flower selecting a Scoop Up, another Scoop Up net being lost into the... actually, I think it's still being... No, I think it was a Scoop Up net going into the Lost Zone there. And we're going to see an Escape Rope here.
We are, but we still don't have a second Comfey down there, which is awkward because what you really want to do with those Escape Rope is pivot between your Comfey. And we got 5 cards in the Lost Zone. 5 isn't enough.
But he just forgot the Colress, so it's going to put him at 7 instantly.
So not having enough one, and is there anything in his hand that can get him one? We do see a Colress's Experiment.
There's a lot of cards in that hand for sure.
There are a lot there. But you know, that Comfey's going to have to switch as well. So, now this I really like because now there's a Lugia V coming up, and it's a lot weaker. Now, it's still got the Dunsparce weakness protection, but it is at least a lot weaker. So that Zero Aura comes up, and maybe we could see an attack into the Lugia with the Zero Aura, try softening that up a little bit. And I think really, you know, Isaiah was playing that Escape Rope, trying to see what Ondrej would do. And the fact that it took Ondrej so long to put the Lugia up kind of tells you everything you need to know about that decision.
Yeah, of course, Escape Rope, your opponent does have to choose first, which kind of lets you better strategize who you choose to promote. And it kind of throws your opponent off kilter a little bit in some games because it's like, oh, this is a tough decision. Who do I choose? And sometimes it's the wrong choice, but that Lugia V now is in the active position there for Ondrej. We're seeing a Colress's Experiment. Manaphy is hitting that Lost Zone and the Capture Energy as well, bringing that Lost Zone up to 7 cards total now. The lucky number 7.
Well, the Manaphy is kind of an interesting decision because we've said earlier in this, I was saying to Kyle earlier, these Lugia decks generally don't tend to play Recovery. And the Manaphy here is really used in this matchup against the Amazing Rare Raikou.
Yeah.
With the Raikou having already hit the discard pile, you don't need Manaphy anymore. So it's nice to have those easy choices off of those Colress's Experiment. No, well, that Manaphy's no good anymore, so I can just get rid of that and jobs are good.
Yeah, most definitely. But still uphill here, of course, with these Lost Zone decks. You have to sequence everything absolutely perfectly. And we're going to see that Mirage Gate now being unlocked with those 7 Lost Zone cards now in the Lost Zone. So we are going to see 2 different types of energies come out onto the field and being placed on that Radiant Greninja, which can be a fantastic attacker in these matchups.
It can, and there's no Manaphy on the board, and it will KO Dunsparce. It won't KO anything else, but it will
yes.
get what? It'll get 90 damage
Takes
somewhere.
Takes that Dunsparce off the field, too, which is huge.
And what do we just say about Lugia decks not playing recovery? So when that Dunsparce goes down, all of a sudden, Zero Aura is kind of opened up as an attacker again very nicely. And I'm just checking Ondrej's list, making sure I'm not missing something obvious here, but we don't see those cards like Goldenrod, like Clara, because generally one of each of these cards is enough throughout the game.
Well, it's unfortunate too because Ondrej actually does have the Manaphy in hand as well. So if the Radiant Greninja attacks and there's no bench protection, it's one time too late. But also you have to make sure that you're placing your Manaphy in the absolute perfect scenario when you are going to face some sort of major bench damage. And these Lost Zone decks can have so many different attackers. You never know what's going to come out of them that, you know, sometimes you got to hold off on it. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. We've seen reaction replays here, you know, the Zero Aura's out, so Ondrej gets the Dunsparce. Doesn't get the Manaphy because not too worried yet. You know Manaphy's going down next turn. Like, there isn't actually a bench space. But if there was space for a Manaphy, Ondrej would... And that's why the Manaphy isn't down, incidentally. There is no
yes,
bench
I
space.
didn't even see this... I didn't even see that. The Lugia I was thinking was, oh, that's just the discard pile. But I forgot Ondrej plays with the discard pile on the opposite side. I am so silly. Absolutely, you're right. And it still hurts, though, seeing I have a Manaphy in hand, and I am about to get bench damage. Always hurts, for sure. And that's what we're going to see.
But this is why it had to be like this. Isaiah had to do it in... Oh, no, he's just there drawing cards to free energy, boom, KO. Because you can't tell your opponent it's coming, because if you tell him it's coming, the Manaphy will come down. Obviously, we know the Dunsparce is going. As for the other one, onto the Lugia... I quite like this. It means if you want to get it with a Zero Aura, you no longer need to find that choice belt.
Absolutely. That was the Moonlight Shuriken attack off the Radiant Greninja. So doing 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, but you also have to discard 2 energy off of the Radiant Greninja as well. So those energies are going to be hit in the discard pile, but usually Lost Zone decks play a lot of energy shuffling or recovery sometimes, so or ordinary rods, things like that. So it shouldn't be too big of a deal, and lots of energy in general to get those back.
Yeah, there's a couple of ordinary rod and an energy recycler in the deck.
Yeah, so we're chilling.
Yeah, he's not running out of energy anytime soon. Not to mention, of course, you know, we've always got stuff like Training Court, which will literally get an energy back from the discard into your hand. So, yeah, Isaiah's not worried at all about losing that energy. The energy will come back.
Yeah, and absolutely. And now Isaiah is both leading in prize cards, and that Dunsparce is off the field now as well, which, again, opens a bench space up for Ondrej too, but we'll see what happens in this turn. We're starting off with that Primal Turbo, searching out those 2 energy from the deck and going in for another 2 energy, and this is how Lugia works here. Using those Archeops, you can pretty much charge up anything you want on your field and hope it plays into your strategy well enough to win you the game here. So there's 2 powerful, colorful energies, colorless energies being eyed up right now from Ondrej. At least one going down onto the Stoutland V now. That Stoutland was utilized so well in our first game that we saw between these players to take those additional prize cards. So we'll see if it plays out the same way for Ondrej in this round, and we can see some extra prize cards to maybe turn the tables here as well.
But I think the big difference in game 1 was that Isaiah didn't have time to respond. Here, there's no bench space. But if a bench space opens up and, you know, Scoop Up Net can do that, then there is a possibility of going Dragonite, Mirage Gate, Energy, Boss, KO. It's a lot to ask for, but that is an option, and that would take Stoutland off the board. So what do? I mean, you retreat the Lugia, you attack right away, although I don't think... we've got to have a Boss's Orders in hand, surely. I think I see it there at the front, and it looks like there's a decision being made here. And, there is a Boss's Orders. It's got to be the only Comfey. It's got to be the only Comfey there.
Yeah, and Isaiah's been rolling with that Comfey for a while now as the only Comfey. So if that's going down, that is one less Comfey, but a bench space has been opened up. Don't need a Scoop Up Net when you're getting knocked out, you know, Ross? But yeah, that's going to be another prize card here for Ondrej on our right side, and we are going to go over to Isaiah Williams. So now Ondrej's leading in the prize race. Of course, I'm pretty sure Ondrej did take the first prize card of the game. Actually, it might have been Isaiah. But either way, leading right now because of that Stoutland V.
But the thing
Such
is,
a great card.
It's such a great card. But you're not so worried about a Dragonite now. Like, if you're swapping 2 prizes for 2 prizes, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
What you don't want to do is have the Stoutland taken out before it's done anything good. And if we look at Ondrej's board, sure, it's damaged, but you got that Lugia V-Star kind of ready to go there. And you've got your Archeops out, so you can start playing around with some of these other attackers if you wish. Radiant Charizard can start coming out, and it's got a lot of hit points. And it can take a hit from pretty much anything in Isaiah's deck at this stage. Or indeed, it could respond to a Dragonite, for argument's sake. And that's kind of what Ondrej's doing here, is just setting up kind of, I've got responses to anything you've got.
Yeah.
Your best response to a Stoutland is a Dragonite, but I've got either Lugia V-Star or Charizard that can respond to your Dragonite. So both of these players, this is the kind of matchup where you're trying to think several turns ahead. What is my opponent going to do? And when I respond to that, how are they going to respond? And certainly, I'm liking Ondrej's setup here a lot better than I'm liking Isaiah's.
Yeah, but the hand is pretty stacked here as well for Isaiah. We have Mirage Gaze, there's tons of Comfeys in hand as well. Lost Zone is only at 7 as of now, and of course you need 10 to unlock that Lost Mine for Sableye. But who needs Sableye when you have Snorlax?
Yeah, now Snorlax is another option. This is one we've talked about quite a lot. You will need
the MVP of today, I feel.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, you do need that choice bout, as I was saying.
Yes.
So it's not as easy an answer, but you can see the choice bout's in hand. Isaiah's got it in hand.
That's what I'm saying. The hand is stacked here for Isaiah.
And
options
now,
all around.
Yes, and now we're back. So now Isaiah goes, well, I'm not going to respond with Dragonite because that's a liability. So I'm going to respond with Snorlax, and then try and force Ondrej to respond with potentially a 2-prize Pokemon.
Yep.
And just try and kind of switch the prize race back and forth. And here's the thing. Isaiah taking the KO now on this Stoutland does open up a KO on that Lugia next turn for the game.
Absolutely.
That's the prize map here.
Yeah, definitely. And what's nice to see, too, is that Zeraora actually has free retreat there. So we just saw the quick free retreat from Zeraora into that Comfey as well. And we're going to see that Drapion hit the Lost Zone.
Yeah, I did like Ondrej set up a bit better, and then Snorlax came out with the choice bout. I mean, I don't have a choice bout yet.
Not yet.
It's going to have the choice bout. You don't, I mean, even if we didn't know he had it, you don't put it in the active if he doesn't have it. So now we're getting the KO with that Snorlax. Maybe we'll see another double heads, and your theory will hold true.
That is very true. Will the Snorlax wake up? That has been the question all day today in our matchups. Ooh, is that a Sky Seal Stone?
That is a Sky Seal Stone.
We've seen glimpses of it here and there in our matches, but nothing, I don't think we've actually seen it utilized yet.
You need to KO a V-Star or a V-Max, and that turn you use it, and then, hey, you get to take an extra
prize. No big deal.
Well, it kind of isn't a big deal, honestly, because if you KO the Stoutland, you've got 2 prizes remaining. You don't need an extra prize off the Lugia.
Yeah.
So it is actually just being stashed on the Greninja to get it out of your hand. It's not going to do... It could have done. It's too late. It's not actually doing anything this game. It is unfortunately irrelevant.
But it's always interesting to see it being
left.
slotted into these decks. I was hoping it'd make an appearance, and we've seen
Like,
it
I know
so
the
far,
deck
which
takes
is
a
pretty
long
nice.
time to play,
But here we
that's
go.
just ridiculous.
This is getting tight here, Ross. It has been a back and forth this entire game here. And that Snorlax sleeping away, but is definitely doing tons of damage. You love to see it.
You do love to see it. And essentially, if you're Ondrej next turn, you need to use your Raikou or... Excuse me, your Raikou's gone. Your Eviltal or your Charizard. Get a KO of a single prizer, preferably with some disruption.
Yeah.
The game's kind of gone over to Isaiah at this point. If Isaiah takes this KO, and you kind of got to imagine they're going to, and then has Gusting next turn, you will win the game. If Isaiah's got Gusting next turn and an attacker, which is a big deal, that's game.
Oh no, it was the opposite there. Two tails.
Double tails.
Double tails.
Ondrej kind of here needs a KO of a single prize Pokemon, and there are a couple of options, like I've said.
Yep.
Preferably some disruption. Isaiah is by no means got the game wrapped up, but like Lightning Energy, Gusting would probably do it.
Yep, and it is going to be that Archeops that's taking the active position here on Ondrej's field. As we were talking about, you know, single prize Pokemon, that is a potential attacker in this deck that we have seen utilize here and there. in this Lugia V-Star deck. Like we were talking about before, you know, if you aren't using the Stoutland to take those extra prize cards, you're pretty much just pivoting your deck late game into single prize attackers to match up and be able to balance yourself out with going against single prize attacking decks. So this is going to be a choice here for Ondrej. Of course, I think there's still plenty of energy in the deck, but maybe not, actually.
Well, it's 2 powerful colorless. That's what we're looking for. With 2 powerful colorless energy, this will actually get a KO on the Snorlax. That would absolutely do it, because Snorlax has, if I'm not mistaken, 150.
Yeah, you're right, and it'd be doing 160.
Oh,
correct?
He's got the 2 powerful colors. This is going to work! You need a third energy. No, there is a third energy. Oh, this is exactly what Ondrej needed. Doesn't need to go fancy with a Charizard. Archeops will do fine. The problem is, and you see this is what Ondrej's thinking, I imagine, you need some disruption as well, because all Isaiah needs to do is Lightning Energy, gust up the V-Star, and that will still be the game.
Yeah, definitely tough spot to be. And there's that disruption. Here we go. You called it, Ross.
This is perfect. This is everything Ondrej wanted.
And that's what you want to see. I mean, when you're in such a tough position, you got to hopefully just have the cards to save yourself in this scenario. And we're going to really see what that comes down to here off of this Marnie. So Ondrej going to have 5 cards drawn and Isaiah having 4.
Yeah, and I kind of sneaky love this matchup. It's like I've been saying all the way along. It's reacting and it pivots. It keeps pivoting. Yeah. It's constantly just trying to respond to what everybody's doing here. And it's a really fun matchup in that regard. We do see a Lost Vacuum here, getting rid of the Sky Seal Stone.
Yeah.
Not going to make a huge
I was about
difference.
to say, not super applicable there, but still. So research is going to be discarded there on Ondrej's side for that Sky Seal Stone. And that Archeops is fully charged, ready to go. But is there some sort of... Well, there's a boss and a Professor's Research in hand for Ondrej for next turn. But that's pretty much it. I didn't even see the 3rd card in hand, but...
There's nothing that's going to make a huge difference this turn. Ondrej essentially is now just thinking, please don't have Lightning Energy gusting. Because if Dunsparce was out, Ondrej's basically got this game sewn up at this stage.
Yeah.
Well, barring a Dragonite play, actually, Dragonite would still win the game. But that would be so much more difficult to pull off.
You love your Dragonites, Ross. I love it.
We've got Dragonite projected giant on the wall behind Isaiah. And we've not seen it once in 2 games.
I know.
I want the Dragonite.
I know.
And it's a good attacker.
It's a good show, too, yeah. When we get to see that Dragonite come out, it's definitely always a good time. All right, here we go. We're back over to Isaiah. So this is it here, Ross. What is Isaiah going to do on this turn? And are we going to see 2 prize cards taken for the win? Because if we don't see that, Ondrej is only 2 prize cards away from the win as well. But of course, matching up against only 1 prize Pokemon. So I'm curious to see how this unfolds.
I mean, Isaiah's going to dig. That's what we're going to see this turn, Boo. We're going to see Isaiah digging. It's Lightning Energy gusting. That's what we're looking for here. That would get the KO on the Lugia V-Star. And it was several turns ago that 90 damage was dropped by the Radiant Greninja. Yeah. And that is huge because now we don't need to see the Choice Belt, which will be an extra... Oh, that is not a good hand, though. Yes, we've got the Lightning Energy, but the thing is you don't really want to drop the Lightning Energy for fear of it being... Oh, no!
It's just going to be discarded to
Oh, now he's got
cards.
the boss's orders, but he doesn't have the energy anymore! Oh, but he's got Training Core!
There
so Training Core gets the energy back, energy goes on, switch card and boss's orders, KOs the V-Star, and we're going to a Game 3.
Oh, I am so excited, Ross. I mean, I love this, that so many of our matches here are going to Game 3s today. This has been a blast so far to cast. But like you said, Ross, I'm pretty sure Ondrej did everything in his power to do the best with the cards that were dealt there. We saw the disruption. We saw, I mean, the Manaphy couldn't come down because the bench was full there. We did see the Dunsparce being drawn out at the correct time as well. But unfortunately there, Isaiah just had the cards off of that Marnie that he needed to succeed in that match. So I'm excited to see what happens in a Game 3.
I mean, Ondrej played that game beautifully. Yeah. It was very well played. But this is what I was saying about the matchup all the way through. It's back and forth. It's responding, but it's also predicting. Ondrej had time to get the Dunsparce down before it was too late, but didn't also get the Manaphy down. And sure, you can sit at home right now and go, well, why didn't Ondrej put the Manaphy and the Dunsparce down? And that's a fair question. There's 2 of your 6 Pokemon on the field, and you've got to have your 2 Archeops, and you've really got to have your 2 Lugia. Oh, look, now you're out of bench space.
Yep.
So it's very, very awkward trying to fit all of these things on the bench at the same time. And, you know, that last turn from Ondrej, getting the KO with a double powerful colorless energy onto the Archeops, combined with the Mani, Ondrej could not have done more to try and extend that game. It just didn't work in the end. And sometimes you do the right thing and it doesn't work.
Well, and the thing about going against Lost Box, too, is you never know if just a random Kyogre is going to pop out as well at the end. And so you kind of want to be saving your Manaphy sometimes, too, unless you see some sort of threat on board that you're like, okay. Well, and now just having the knowledge as well of a lot of cards in Isaiah's deck, I think is going to help Ondrej very much going into this next round, because I think the strategies can be adjusted now, knowing so many different attackers that Isaiah so far has played. But I actually don't even think we have
Oh, hang on a second, I'm going to interrupt you here, Boo, because we've got 2 Lightning Energy prize and there are only 2 Lightning Energy in Isaiah's deck. That is all the Lightning Energy in the deck. Also, the Sky Steel Stone could be kind of awkward, but all the Lightning Energy is actually prized right now, and Dragonite needs Lightning Energy, and Zero Aura needs Lightning Energy, and they're pretty much your only non-Snorlax, Cramorant, and Sableye attackers. That could be big.
So we're going to be seeing pure Lost Zone box here today, because until that Lightning Energy is drawn into, of course, off of the prize cards. But of course, that can be pretty awkward to get to as well. And over on Ondrej's side as well, Stoutland V is already on bench with a powerful energy. Dunsparce inactive, but we're just passing back over to Isaiah Williams after nothing else. Not even a single card hits the discard pile on Ondrej's side.
No Lugia to evolve next turn, no Archeops in the discard pile. That was a very, very bad start from Ondrej. And I apologize for interrupting you, but that was definitely worth interrupting you for.
100%.
2 Lightning Energy prize, that is a big deal.
Absolutely. That is huge. I mean, when you want to capitalize on some weakness attacks and you don't have the correct energy, that's always unfortunate. But here we go. We're going to pivot into a bunch of flower selectings here off of those Comfeys on Isaiah's side. Of course, that air balloon always being so nice in the beginning portions of the game, so you can just start pivoting real early and getting those cards into the Lost Zone. And of course, once we see some sort of deck search on Isaiah's side as well, I'm sure some prize cards are going to be mapped out, and I think those electric energy are going to be missed.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they very much are. We did see double flower selecting on turn 1. That was pretty good. But no supporter of any description.
Wow.
There are no cards in any discard pile after both players have had 1 turn.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Of course, 2 in the Lost Zone, but yeah, neither players have any in the discard here.
Capture energy for Lugia, though. This could be pretty big. It's not perfect, but it's all right. It at least gets a Lugia down, and it gets another energy on that Stoutland. And you know what? If Isaiah doesn't have a fast start, Ondrej could just manually attach and KO.
That would definitely be rough to see for sure, because that would put you so far on the back foot as well. Especially seeing, you know, if your opponent has kind of a slow start, it's always nice that you can pop off and really just take that momentum. But when you're both starting slow, and then Ondrej is able to just put the pieces together, Lugia is just one of those decks that it doesn't take much, but you need to get those pieces. But if you get them first, you are just running away.
And it's worth pointing out, we've got 3 minutes left on the round timers. This is very likely.
This has flown by.
Yeah, and I'm starting to feel a little bit victimized here, because the first 2 games ended, then I come on stream, we had a tie. Oh no, a very close tie. Natalie actually did pull it out in the end, but it almost ended up in a tie.
Almost.
And now we got a tie here. Like, apparently I'm only capable of casting incredibly long games. And the problem is, I'm not sure either player really has time to finish this one out and get a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, you know, if Isaiah has so many cards that can be drawn, or Pokemon that can be played down onto the bench. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we might be able to see something spicy happen on Ondrej's side, but no, I don't think so. With only 2 minutes left on the clock, I don't think there's going to be enough time to actually see. But of course, once we go to time, it does go into 3 turns total, in addition to the rest of the game. So we'll see. Maybe things can be settled in those 3 turns, but I don't know. I think if anything, Ondrej is going to have sort of the upper hand if we are going to some sort of time.
Well, there is a route, and it's a route that makes me extremely happy, and that is Turbo Aggro Stoutland.
Yes.
3 Stoutland attacks in a row. Ondrej's probably got just enough time for that. and that would do it. Problem is, there's no way Isaiah is going to let him do that. He is going to make sure that there are bigger Pokemon on the field, and he's going to take away those obvious Stoutland targets.
Yep, but here we go. We're just grinding through these flower selectings. There's 4 cards now into the Lost Zone here. Another Comfey hitting the bench.
Yeah, more flower selecting coming, but the problem is Isaiah wants a couple of turns to kind of get this rolling and maybe poke with Cramorant, you know. I can see a Cramorant KO on a Dunsparce, that could certainly happen, but that's not going to get Isaiah close to winning the game in the time that is allotted, and that's the problem here. Yay, Cramorant, and like I say, we're going to see a Cramorant KO on the Dunsparce. That is the map from here, that is the flow chart, as Kyle likes to say. But the problem is, that doesn't really get you any closer to winning this match when you've got so little time left on the clock.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to be hitting time when we're in Isaiah's turn, but we'll see how this turns out, especially, I mean, these decks work pretty slow, so we are going into another flower selecting here. Of course, 5 cards now in the Lost Zone, so, yep, Cramorant's going to be taking that knockout here. Of course, Azera Aura did come down, but there is no energy that allows the move to be utilized, but there may be an energy drawn off the prize cards, but as we saw, they're both in the middle of the prize cards for Isaiah, so if cards are drawn normally...
and there we have the tie. Both players have decided, you know what, there's no point. Time has just been called. That is the game. We have a tie.
There we go. Yeah, look at that. Showing off that there's two energy in my discard pile there. Isaiah just pointing that out there. There we go. We're going to have our first tie of the day, Ross. That was a long one for sure. But
if you're Ondrej, you've got to feel kind of bad about that last game because you're looking and going, wait. I'm playing against this Lost Box that doesn't have any lightning energy, and we don't have time to finish the game. You've got, you know, we saw how game 1 Ondrej ran away with it. Game 2 was this amazing close back.